So welcome everybody to our webinar today. Again, my name is Philip Charlson. I'm on the MEP team, MEP Senior Solution Specialist, but I also deal with the architecture side. So if you do have any structure questions, I might have to defer that to one of my coworkers here. So this is just a little bit of a profile of mine here. So kind of taking a look at some of my accomplishments, my industry experience, and some of the things that I deal with here. As you can see, I do quite a varied items here for my position. I do some training, so that involves implementation, developing templates, creating content, and obviously doing some mentoring as well. So I've been using Revit since early 2002. So that is right after Autodesk made the purchase. So over 20 years, almost 21 years of utilizing Revit and implementing that within companies. So we want to look at some ways to make your projects work a little bit better. So what we're going to be doing is looking a little bit at the Power Pack for Revit. So the Power Pack for Revit is a tool, or several tools, I should say, that basically is an add-on to Revit. It is 137 different tools to go and help with your everyday Revit tasks. These are all customizable, and what I mean by that is you can go in and set to show what type of tools that you want to use every day. There's also options to go in and set them to be either discipline specific or kind of where you are at within the job, meaning if you need the tools for modeling, if you need tools for documentation or collaboration, you can switch to the different interfaces for that within Revit. So the Power Pack for Revit does put a tab at the top along with all your other common Revit tools within there. So just a few kind of groupings here of what tools there are. We have tools for the BIM workflow. We have parameters and tagging. Parameters are kind of cool because what we've done is we've actually added specific shared parameters that you can automatically load into your project. So it allows you to go in and add those to families or to add into schedules. So it's a bit more, I would say, common items that Revit kind of forgot to put in, or maybe decided, yeah, we're not going to put that in there for some reason. But it has been requested by users to go in and place those within the Power Pack for Revit. We also have items for views and sheets, for modeling, and then for file management. So the key thing with the Power Pack for Revit is how it was developed. So it was developed internally, and we actually have a development team that works on the Power Pack, and they go in and are able to go in and create new tools. So as an end user, if one of you have a request for a tool, you can send it over to us, say, hey, I'd really love to see Revit be able to do this. We can then send it off to our development team, and they can go in and look to see how they can go in and create it so that it's another tool that gets added on to the Power Pack. The other key component with the Power Pack is that there's typically 2 releases each year. So there's kind of the main release, and then there's an update. So kind of a 6-month in between each of the different releases. So you're going to see new tools come up within the year. So we'll probably see a new Power Pack come out soon after the 2024 products come out, because there obviously has to be some testing to make sure that it is working with the current version. Also, when you're working with the Power Pack, it does work for multiple releases, including the current release that you have. So you don't have to just purchase the new seat or the new version. It's only going to work for that one. You're going to have an option to be able to use it for other ones within there. So kind of short PowerPoint, which is kind of a good thing for a demo because nobody really loves to look at a whole bunch of PowerPoints. So we're going to take a look at a few of the different tools within the Power Pack. I'm not going to be able to show you all 137 of them, but I'll be able to show you quite a few of them within here. So right now I'm in Revit 2023, and we have the Power Pack tool right here. So when I go in and click on it, you can see that we kind of have a full list of tools within here. You can see that some of these have multiple tools from the drop downs within here as well. What I like to point out first is the customization that you can do. So being that I'm working on the MEP side, a good majority of the time, you'll see that my ribbon customization is set for MEP. So I have tools that are going to work for the MEP side. Some of them can be used for all the disciplines, but there may be some specific ones that are for MEP. If I click in this drop down here, you see that we have architecture. Engineering is considered the structural side. We have MEP, and then I said that we have it for the different instances that you're at. So you have your modeling tools, connectivity tools, and annotation type items. We can show all disciplines. Obviously, it shows quite a few, and you got to deal with a lot of different drop downs there. I don't tend to like to work with that. The other thing that you can do, though, is set it to custom. So if you want to use a few tools of these items, a few tools of those, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to be able to see within your toolbar. If there's only 5 tools that you're going to use all the time, you can have 5 tools showing up in here. So you can maximize it or minimize it the way that you want. So if you want to do the custom, there's a little drop down here. And within the ribbon customization, you can see it's got 137 tools within here. And you can just simply check on or check off the tools that you want to see for your customization. You can also save this as a customization. So if you want to have everybody on the same team to be using the same tools within the Power Pack, it's kind of a nice way to ease people into using the Power Pack if you want them to use specific tools. Maybe there are a set of 5 tools that you want to work with everybody to use at the same time. So you could potentially save that as a customization file and then share that with others. So everybody's using those same tools within there. So again, kind of a nice option within in there for the customization side. Now, taking a look at some of our options within here, so I'll just stick with my custom one here. You can see we have some BIM Connect here. So if you do have some structure people on the call here, these are more structural related. Again, I'm an MEP guy by default with a little bit of architecture. I try to stay away from the structure side, let those structural engineers deal with that side of things. The Excel tools is really a nice option. The link to Excel works a little bit differently than what you might have seen with other third-party type tools. A lot of times when there's a link to Excel, it just simply is I create the Excel file and then I'm able to link it in, and it's kind of static information. So it's not really tied to any information, and you can't really push it out back and forth. So the link to Excel within the Power Pack allows you to go back and forth. It also allows you to uh, take information. So if you've already got, let's say, some schedules in your project and you want to fill out the schedule information. So instead of doing it within Revit, you can push it out to Excel, fill in your data within there, because sometimes it's easier just to go in and add the data within an Excel file, and then you can push that information back into Revit, and it goes in and fills in the information, not only in this schedule, but all the different families that it's tied to. So you're filling in parameters as you're filling in a link to Excel option. The other thing that I've used the link to Excel for is, let's say I don't even have a schedule for a particular category. I can go in and kind of create one. So when I do a link to Excel, I can take the parameters from a category that I don't even have a schedule for, and it will kind of populate an Excel spreadsheet, and I can go in and add my information within there. And when I push it back into the project, it's going to populate all of that information. So if I wind up going in and creating a new schedule for that category, I'm going to have all my information tied into it already. So that's a really awesome tool to go in and start using within the Power Pack. The Family Manager is another nice tool. Um, Other companies may charge just for a family manager to be able to go in and use your content libraries to go in and populate information within there. If I go in and click on my family manager here, I kind of scale down here, but there are some GRAITEC libraries. Tell you the truth, I've never used any of these, but I can also go in and create my own user library. So if you've got just your out of the box libraries, you can go in and populate it within here. If you also have a custom library, you can populate it within here. So you can have multiple libraries within the Family Manager. Could be discipline specific if your company does MEP, does structure, does architecture, and you have different libraries. We can go in and load those libraries in here and be able to utilize the information. So you can see here, I've just brought in the annotations from the out of the box Revit here. So when I go in and click on the architectural annotations, you can see all the different annotation items that we have within here. So you've probably seen all of these in the past here, but if I want to go in and load in any of these, I can just simply check the box. You can see that my little forklift over here is adding more families to the forklift to load into a project. So I can go in and select as many as I want to, and I can go to other categories as well. So if you're loading in Revit families without the Power Pack, you're having to go in and load in just one category. So you're going to a folder, you might be selecting a few items, load those in, then you got to go through that same process again, and then go to a different folder and load those in. So I can go to different ones within here. You can see that I still have my 3 from my architecture one, but now I can go in and add some fire protection symbols into my project here as well. So other items you can do is you can go in and add favorites. So you can see the little star up here. Your favorites get added in here. So if it's maybe a family that you like to load in all the time, if it isn't already in your project template, you can be able to go in and use your favorite list here to go in and bring those into a project. Now, if I go down here to the next item is a nice feature as well. So you've probably heard of type catalogs before. Maybe if you've on the architecture side, if you've loaded in maybe door or window types, it brings in a type catalog and allows you to choose which types that you want to load into your project. But there's also the process of creating that type catalog in order to do that. Within the Family Manager, you don't have to have a type catalog. So you can pick and choose which types that you want to go in and load into your project. So the only one that I have as an option really here is the ceiling tag, which is a boxed or a standard. So if I don't want to bring in the box type, I can just uncheck that, keep the standard one checked, click OK, and it brings those into my project, and I'm able to go in and use just the standard and not leave the boxed in there. Because if we do that, maybe somebody will start putting in a boxed ceiling tag instead of using the standard one within the project. So we really only want to have the family types that we want to use in a project. And obviously, when you get into MEP type objects or structure objects, there can be quite a few different variances of types that you can go in and bring into a project. And you don't want to fill up that type catalog or type selector and also fill up your project with unused family types. It just increases the size. All right. Some of the other items within here, We have an element lookup. So this is kind of a neat tool. It can be a little tricky at first to work with because it can be in depth. So you can look for some really specific items. It can actually dig into the family and look for parameters regarding that particular family. So it allows you to go and look up that information. It allows you to go in and select it. And it could be multiple items, many elements within that selection. And then you can go in and obviously modify just those components. So a nice tool to really be able to find items within a project. So a little bit different than just simply using a filter with the out of the box Revit. With that, you just kind of window select and whatever you have highlighted, that's what you have as far as your lookup items for a filter. But this is going to look up everything within your entire project. Now, the next one here, the work tracker. This is a very unique tool. This is really the only one of its type, which I could say. And what it does is it allows us to uh, track a project. So if I pop this open here quick, um, it's kind of hard to demonstrate without obviously a number of users being able to pop in and pop out of a project, but it tracks uh, how much time users can put into a particular project, how many kind of picks and clicks that they're doing. You may think of it as, the boss man kind of watching over you, but the way that you can look at it is for estimating projects. So if you're working on a particular project, you can kind of track, how many hours that users have been on that particular project within that file and working on that file. And it can help determine how you estimate future projects from the data that you get. So you can go in and actually get some reports, so some Excel spreadsheets to list out that particular information. So you can be able to see that data, and you can get information on different time periods. You can see that there's some time spans within here. So each one of these tabs kind of gives us some different information. So it's just time per project, time per file, time per user. So as you can see, it gives us a lot of different types of detail related to projects. So it can kind of tell you also, if a person's more efficient with their Revit, if they're possibly not getting enough clicks on a project, maybe they need a little bit more assistance with training. Maybe they don't quite understand some of those steps. So the work tracker can be utilized for really a lot of different ways. And like I said, this is really the only one that I know of that works for Revit specifically. Um, Another neat tool that I like, I'm a family creator for Revit, so I build up a lot of components. One thing that I really like is the CAD to RFA. So what that means is taking a CAD file and turning it into a Revit family. So what this allows you to do is if you go out to, let's say, manufacturer sites, sometimes they don't have Revit content. Sometimes they just have DWGs. Sometimes it's 3D DWGs. You're thinking, oh, what am I going to do with that? So we can actually utilize that information. So we can go in and download it. And what we can do is we can go in and place it within a project, place that AutoCAD DWG. And if you've ever taken a training class from me, I always tell you to keep away from bringing in AutoCAD content. In this case, I'm telling you to bring in AutoCAD content. So don't record that. Um, but with this, you go in and place it within your project. And then what you do is you come back to this and you choose the CAD to RFA. You go in and choose the AutoCAD file that you brought in, the AutoCAD, I guess, block, 3D block. And when you go in and select it, it'll ask you, okay, what Revit family template do you want to go in and use? So let's say it's a light fixture that you go in and drop into place. Okay, well, I'd probably set it to a lighting fixture family. So when I go in and select it as family, I can go in and save it as a Revit family. It'll go in and apply the electrical content. So what that means is all the different parameters relating to light fixtures. Now it's not going to fill in all of your parameters, but it's going to go in and add the parameters so that you are able to put that information in. So hopefully if you are bringing in any manufacturing data, you're probably still on that manufacturing website. So hopefully they have some kind of spec sheets that you're looking at that you can go in and grab and then plug into those parameters when you go in and create that that family. The other thing is it will stay linked to that AutoCAD content. So if you decide to kind of scale back a little bit on the AutoCAD information, maybe they have added a lot of additional detail to a 3D component, you can go back and modify it within AutoCAD. So hopefully here everybody's got the AEC collections, but you should have AutoCAD and Revit. So you can pop into AutoCAD and delete some of the overly detailed information from the manufacturer. And you don't have to link it back in. All you got to do is just click on this RFA update. And it's just going to go in and update the Revit family with the AutoCAD content within it. So really cool tool to use, again, for those manufacturers that are still in the DWG world and haven't moved to Revit yet. I always encourage people, if you are working with specific manufacturers, let them know, hey, I'm working in Revit. I need Revit content. I don't need AutoCAD anymore. So kind of push them to start developing Revit content for you so that it's easier to use. One I like here, we have some options here for, I'd say almost like more for manufacturer or fabricators, some split pipe options. So this allows us to go in and click on a pipe, be able to split it into lengths that we want it to be. We also have a pipe installation tool. Now you're probably saying, well, Revit already has pipe installation. You just click on a pipe or click on a string of pipe and you go in and click on installation. Well, the difference here with this one is that we can go in and have it automatically put in the size of insulation that we want based on not only the pipe, but duct. So it's kind of a misleading title. It's actually pipe and duct insulation. So this allows us to go in and say for a certain pipe, let's say up to an inch in diameter, we have a specific size for insulation for that. If we go from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 inches, okay, now we increase the size for insulation for that size. So we have settings for both pipe and duct that we can go in and select for that. I just go in and pick on it here. I know I don't have any pipe within my project here, but we'll go in and pop it open here quick. It's probably searching for pipe. That's probably my issue here. Well, we'll just go in and click OK for this. There we go. All right, so for my pipe installation, again, I can go in and click on my drop down here. You see that we have a default. We can choose duct, and you can see when I come down here, we can choose for the different specific systems that we have. We can also choose installation type. So this is typically what we might have within our template. So if we have some additional installation types, they'll list within here. Down at the bottom is where we can go in and set what values that we want. So in this case, for duct size up to 4-inch, we're using 1 inch installation around it. If we go up from 4 to 8, now we're using 1.5 inches. So you can see that we can go in and change each of these to whatever values that we want to within here. We can go in and also set our thickness defined by the fixed value, inner or outer diameter. In this case, that would be for any type of round duct. We switch this over to pipes. We can see some of the differences that we have within there. So again, a little bit more advanced than the regular installation tool within Revit. So again, a key thing to remember with all these tools that I'm showing you here today is that they have been requested by users. So at some point in time, somebody has asked, hey, can you make a tool that can do this? And we've got 137 of those so far. um, Going back, I know I mentioned earlier about something about parameters, some shared parameters. So in the drop down up here, we have some parameters that people have requested to have within projects. So these are just simply items that are just brought in and to be able to be used for your project. So if I click on door side, so for the architectural people, when I go in and click on that, it allows me to go in and set that as a parameter. You can see here we got door opening, side, update, and check. So I only have one door within my project. If I had multiple doors, we'd see a list of those. And we can go in and choose what an opening side would be listed as. So this is listed as a left opening side as I've got it set within here. If we had kind of a dual type instance, we'd probably set that as NA because it's going to open to both the left and a right type instance. So when I go in and click OK, it just simply adds that as a parameter. So when I select on my door, you can see there G door side, and we got L as the option there. If I have another door and I flip it the other direction, we do have an option where we can, choose an R or the NA if we have already gone in and added that as a particular parameter within here. Other items in here, you got pipe thickness. So that's a nice item for any type of piping or plumbing person. We've got the cable tray reference level. So again, all of these different parameters, these are parameters that are not in Revit by default. But again, people have asked for these because they want to go in and schedule them within their project. So you can see we can choose just simply add all of them at the very bottom here. And even if you're not dealing with, you're dealing with architecture, but it's going to go in and add pipe thickness. If you had any pipe into your project, hey, you're going to be able to see the pipe thickness for that particular item within there. For anybody that's dealing with interiors, room finishes, that's a nice option there. You probably, go in and place a room and it doesn't give you that much for parameters for finishes. This one will go in and add a few parameters within there so that you can go in and add a bit more information for your room finishes. Whoops. Let me show you another tool here. Let me go to, let's see, I don't think I have it in this one. Let me go to my annotate and tools here. And I'm going to go to my auto dimensioning tool. This one's really cool. Okay, so I know everybody's probably familiar with just simply going and creating a few dimensions within Revit. You come up here, use your line dimension, you go from point A to point B, go in and add your dimensions like so. And that's ugly looking dimensioning right there. But it allows me to show you what I want to do with that. So we have a tool here called Join Dimension Lines. So sometimes you may go in and start placing individual dimensions, and then you decide later, oh shoot, I need to get those lined up. All right, so I'm going to come down here and click on Join Dimension Lines. And I'm just going to simply pick on each of my dimension lines here. And after I go in and choose them, I'm going to go and pick on one that I want lined up. Not sure why that one didn't line up there, but they should all go line up together here. So let me go ahead and pick on these again here. I think I didn't select on the lines. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to select this as my default location. And then what it does is it groups all of those together. So they go from individual dimensions to a grouped type dimension. Now I could actually go in and set those to equal spacing, which I wouldn't have been able to before. I would have had to remove all those dimensions and then go in and create a new string of dimensions to go in and do a step like that. So a few more steps that we would have to take in order to get those lined up and use the equality dimension within there. Now, the next one here, oops, and unconstrain those. We're going to go back to our tool here, and we have an auto dimensioning tool. But before I do that, we do have a drop down here that gives us access to some of the configurations in our annotation tab here. So right now we're going to be taking a look at the auto dimensioning. So what we can do with this is we can go in and select what type of dimension style that we want to go in and use. So I'm just using the out of the box template here. So I'm just going to use the regular linear 3/32 aerial. My distance between lines. So if I've got them staggered, similar to what we're seeing down below here, they're all going to be at 1/4 inch apart. Down below here, we can go in and choose what dimensions that we want to go in and place. So right now I've got a overall dimension line, so the overall length there. If we have grid lines, I can go in and dimension to those, generate an external geometry dimension line, any structural items, and then any openings. So you can see here, I've got a door. Obviously, I got a number of walls within here, so I want it to auto dimension all these components within here. All right, so this is what I want set up for this. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to go back and click on my auto dimensioning tool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically window select all the items listed within there. And, oops, let me try it again here. Window select, and we'll hit enter. And I want to choose what is my main wall that I want basically the dimensions to come off of. So it's going to be parallel to this wall right here. So when I go in and pick on it, and I want to choose where I want that first dimension to be placed, so I'm going to put it right kind of above that door. And it goes in and adds some pretty simple dimensions within there. So very easy to go in and pick that information by going and wipe these out. And we go back to our tools here. Let's go in and let's choose all of our components. Let's see what happens if we got all of those. Let's see if we can break it, huh? All right, so I'm going to go in, window select all my objects there again. We'll hit enter. You can pick it off of this one, pick up here, and you can see we get kind of all of the possible scenarios for dimensions within there. So we're kind of over dimensioning everything, but you notice that these are all string dimensions. So if we do make a mistake by having too many items checked, we can easily go in and wipe out some of those dimensions out of the mix there. But you can kind of see kind of a neat feature. And I can bring this one down there to get those all lined up. So that's the auto dimensioning tool. Now the next one, this one's going to be really cool. All right, so we have a quick dimension tool. All right, so if I just want to go in and I want to get all the dimensions for all my walls, kind of whatever I cross through. So I can create a crossing path here. So if I pick outside here and come straight across here, you can kind of see it's creating a line. That line's going to eventually go away. So I can go in and click over here. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. And it goes in and adds all those dimensions through what I've just drawn a line through. So it goes in and creates very, it's giving you the name, quick dimension. Now I know AutoCAD, I think that has a quick dimension tool. It's not as quick as this. So if we go back to our tools here and back to our annotation configuration, our quick dimension, you can see some of the configurations that we can do for that. So I actually have my arc length with it, which I think matches up with the linear anyway. Delete the line after a dimension was created. So that again, that was the line that I created right through my objects. I don't want to leave that line within there, so I don't know why you'd want to keep it there. Dimension only faces, which are perpendicular to the line. And then we have the items, the elements of selected categories that will be dimensioned within there. So one thing that I did request from our group is to go in and add more components that we can dimension to. Being that I'm on the MEP team, I've asked, hey, can we do something with some ducts, some pipes, some conduit cable tray type stuff? So that may be in possibly a future release there. So right now it's more or less kind of structural or architectural items that will be able to go in and do that quick dimension. You can see again, this is for a plan view, side view. Again, we're looking for elevations, sections. So obviously we can do that within any of those types of views to go and create the quick dimension items listed within there. We also have a level dimension. So again, I'm not a structure guy, but if I go to one of my elevation views here, and I've got just kind of simple levels created within here, we can go in and add some tagging within here. For this one, I want to use the level dimensions. And if I just simply go in and click on one of them here, it goes in and adds the little spot elevation. And it chose, or I had the option to choose whatever type of spot elevation that I wanted to go in and display. So it's listing those out for each of the levels. And you can see it's the relative location for each of the levels that we have there. So if I want to, I can go in and delete out individual ones, but as I go in and select on one, it goes in and selects all of them within the list there. Right. So again, 137 tools within the Power Pack. Again, I can't show all of them to you, but I kind of wanted to show you a few of them today so that you can kind of take a look at some of those features. And I kind of showed you both some architectural and some MEP options. Any questions from
Hey,
any users?
yeah, so we got some questions that came in. First one, and just so you know, these have been kind of entered throughout the presentation. So if you hit on
Okay.
it, maybe just kind of brush back up on it. But first question is, does it allow you to share parameters from family to family more than one at a time?
Um, so I guess are you referring to when I went in and added the shared parameter for the door? Because
This
what that
was,
is doing,
I'm sorry,
because
go ahead.
because what that is doing is it's bringing it into your project, and it is simply applying that to, in this case, all the doors that are within your project. So it isn't applying it necessarily to the family file, it's adding it into your project. But it is going to it's going to add it to those components that you have brought into your project. So it's going to act similar to a project parameter. All right.
Fantastic.
Taking a look at some of the items here. Can you create a BIM coordinator manager tools for specifically project setup? Yes, you can. So again, that would be with the custom instance. And there are tools specifically for project setup that do increase the speed of setting up a project. I obviously did not go through that within this session here. Let's see, that one is. Yeah, here it is. In the it's actually batch export, but there's a prepare a background model. So this would be any linked files that you bring in. So it's going to clean up that architectural or structural link when you bring it into, let's say, an MEP project. And then we have when we go in and link in that background model, it's going to do some things for your project as you link those in. We also have a way that we can push out sheets to DWG as another option within this dropdown. So those are a couple popular tools to use for specifically project setup. Once installing PowerPack, does it deactivate other Revit original commands? I noticed when on my Revit, when installing the PowerPack, the Revit original export to CAD deactivated. I am not aware of that. And is that the PowerPack that you have, is that a more current version? We want to make sure that if you do have any issues with the PowerPack, you can definitely reach out. Probably the best thing is probably to your sales rep to push that along to the development team to make sure that it is working correct. We want to make sure if there's any issues with any of these tools that they do get corrected. So uh, input that information, send it to your sales rep. They might actually reach out to us because we have our kind of a direct access to a an ongoing spreadsheet of requests from users and any issues. If there's any issues, the development team will look at them right away before they start looking at some brand new tools. So I want to make sure that it is working correct for all users. Do you have a tool that will check the families for issues like not able to flex it? I don't think so. And again, I'm a big family creator, and obviously I know exactly what you're referring to. Um, the only thing that I suggest to users when I'm training people on creating families is to make sure that you are flexing often when you're developing those families. When you're going in and creating a few different parameters, don't wait until you get close to the end and then you start flexing it and then you find that, oh shoot, there's some issues with it. Now I got to go dig back in and figure out, okay, where did that issue happen? So again, I always push people to flex often to make sure that those parameters are working properly. Make sure you're not locking any dimensions that have parameters tied to them. Any dimensions that do not have parameters, make sure that you lock them. So I really stress that within the courses that I teach. Does it have an automatic function to tag size, shape, and elevation of HVAC equipment? No, but you should be able to have that uh, within Revit. And just might be some Revit customization that needs to happen. You probably just need to customize the the tag. So that could also involve adding some shared parameters to it so that you're utilizing the tag information. Because if you're going in and tagging items, they should be some type of shared parameter that is being used from the equipment and any information that you want really tied into that. Is the work tracker able to report on a larger project with multiple Revit files? You can select which files that you want tracked. So if there are multiple files, you can choose which Revit files that you want tracked on a project. So you just simply have to check a box if you want to go in and track those. So you can track as many or as little Revit files that you want. Can you set how CAD to RFA hosts within Revit? That should actually be based on the family template that you choose. So if you are choosing a hosted family template, well, that CAD to RFA family that you create will be a hosted type family. So it is all up to you to decide which template that you're using. Is this a yearly subscription? Yes, it is. It is also a fairly cheap yearly subscription. It really depends upon which version that you get. There's a standard and there's a professional. For people getting started within it. Um, don't quote me on this. Last time I heard it was only 105 per user. And I think there's a discount for a certain amount of users. And I'm not a salesperson. I'm a tech, so I don't deal with all those numbers. But a lot of people can usually get by with the standard. I think the professional is about 450. And also there's also an expanded one for structure as well. And I know probably we don't have any Inventor users on here, but there is an Inventor Power Pack. There's also one for Vault for those people. But I don't think we have any of those on the call here today. But just the Revit ones, I believe again are I think are 105 and 450 for the two different versions. And again, there's a discount for multiple people on that. Last question. Can you track a user usage, say per week, per month? Yes, that was an option. So you can there's a lot of different ways that you can track users and projects. Whatever data that you want from that work tracker, it can typically produce. So again, it is a very uh, widely used tool. Again, it is really the only one out there for Revit. So if it's something that you want to start utilizing, maybe that is the only tool that your Revit users use. That's an option for you. The other thing that I try to push with the Power Pack is being that there's so many tools, it can be a little bit overwhelming for the user. As I mentioned, maybe trying to have people use, let's start out with 5 particular tools that people can start using on an everyday instance, and then kind of work your way up through that. If you do go out you onto YouTube, you can find the Power Pack. So there are some videos out there. I'm actually creating some additional videos, and these are less than 5 minutes. So none of these tools are so advanced that it's going to take you a lot of effort to try to go in and start using right away. They're all very easy. And with all of the different tools that you have within here, if I go in and click on, let's say, the Family Manager, you will find a help link right at the very bottom there. And we have some pretty good information here for all the different tools. So you have the Power Pack ribbon within here with each of the different panels that you have. So when we go in and click on one of these, it's going to give the list of all the tools within that particular panel. So we can get it down to very specific items and how to go in and use each of those. So again, not a whole lot of information, but you don't need a whole lot of information for that.